we go. Hey, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons.
And I'm Mason Rothman.
And thanks for another episode of Late Night Geo, at least showing up to it.
Yeah, thanks for showing up.
We're trying to keep this more consistent, but I'll admit I'm a little thrown off by doing this every week. Time has already passed so quickly from the last time we did this.
It's once a week.
Once a week.
It
right?
is.
Look, you sound exhausted, man.
You know what? I've been waiting all week for this one. That's how exhausted I am.
So, all right. So, a couple of things. We don't have too much on the docket for tonight. Once again, Late Night Geo is usually when we invite anybody in the audience if they want to show up, pop in, shoot us a message, and we're happy to stop the show and we'll make this a group thing at any point. So, and even if we go off the air in the next 10 minutes or 20 minutes and wrap this part up, you're welcome to send us a message at Project Geo Media on Twitter, and we'll pop back on, or at least I will, and we'll have a discussion. Mason's welcome to as well.
If
he's awake.
I'll pop back on. I promise. Just wake me up.
Right on. So what do we got for today?
Well, it was a little cold, a little rainy. Are you talking about what we're going to talk about tonight?
What we got to talk about?
Oh, what's on the docket? Okay. Well, like you said, it was a little slow this week. There were a couple of launch stories. So getting back to the Chinese moon mission, Chang'e 5, it was going on. We did a couple of launches as well. We did the Maxar Sirius XM launch and a few others that have happened. But this is becoming quite a usual thing. I'm going to have to look at the year-end stats. I know I did it a month or so ago, but how many total launches, et cetera, that we have for the years, and failures, postponements, et cetera. But yeah, it's mostly been a week of launches. But over on LinkedIn, I just caught, it was 2 days ago, DNI Ratcliffe put out a statement on the release of National Space Policy. And this is good news for the IC. Because what he's doing is pledging more money towards them at the end of the day. So he says, I have directed our intelligence agencies to increase support to space defense and added new funding to counter space threats. So he added new funding in there for the intelligence community as well. For space threats, the U.S. intelligence community is clear-eyed in its responsibility to inform national security decisions with critical insight on space issues. So what I'm taking away from this is he's sort of given a chunk of change to the IC, and also saying with that mature Space Force as it's growing and starting off here, because Space Force basically can't exist without the cooperation of the intelligence communities, right? So and that when I say communities, I'm talking about international as well, our Five Eyes partners. So I think that his added money, etc., he's wanting all the intelligence agencies to work together with Space Force to keep this going. But the thing is that he's increasing. So we talked about the increasing amount of money you just go into launches period. Now we've got the director of national intelligence saying more money for space opportunities, etc. It looks like all the money's up in the sky these days, doesn't it? Yeah, so that was
yeah. What do you want me to see?
It looks like it.
Let it rain.
Let it rain. Make it rain. Make it rain satellites. So that was one of the big things this week, though, was that DNI Ratcliffe was throwing out more money for the IC to work with Space Force. So that was one of the big takeaways from this week.
Awesome.
You got anything cool?
I got a couple things. First off, I like to give a shout out. I know he does some interesting posts on LinkedIn. Ken Joyce is the Director of Product Management at Maxar Technologies. I like watching his posts because he likes to take snapshots around different aspects of their platform for their imagery platform. And one of them he posted 5 days ago, actually. I love this stuff, is he actually showcased the S-400 system in Russia, and the shot is amazing shot, and unfortunately I'm going to have to get to the point where I can share the screen on there, and I don't have that set up in the current studio setup I have going right now. Is that going to show up? Well, the computer's getting confused. Look at that. I'm invisible. I can't show. Okay.
Computer says no.
I'm going to have to share this link after the fact, and we'll get better about future podcasts about sharing it from our director's chairs here.
What's cool, though, is what Adam's showing is this will intrigue any old school imagery analyst, is when you see a surface-to-air missile site, etc., and you know part of the equipment, or you just know the layout when you look at it, and these are beautiful shots from Maxar's.
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I kid you not. I think there's probably a comment in here somewhere, but I'm convinced this has got to be 0.15 meter imagery.
Yeah, his name sounds so familiar too. Ken Joyce. Have we met him at any GeoInts?
You can see the launchers on the. You can see the launchers on the systems themselves. You can see the exact equipment. It's you can see the components on them. It is some crazy imagery. So shout out to Ken for coming up with an awesome post from their product Secure Watch there. And I don't usually like to point out specific products or services without a little. The free endorsement only goes so far, but this was a good shot. I couldn't deny that.
EO imagery these days is so good. And I'm going to sound like an old man, but I feel almost like the kids are cheating these days when they're looking at it. It's so clear to see what's down there, where we had to take more of an analytical approach. I tell you what, radar is real imagery at the end of the day, and then electro-optical is just to confirm whatever that you called out on radar. So, but yeah, some beautiful, just gorgeous shots they're putting out anymore with the resolution, the clarity, etc.
No, I hear you, and I think one of the sensor types we still have to heavily interpret is the SAR sensors.
Sure,
they're still emerging out there. They're still pretty good, a lot better than what we dealt with.
Oh, sure.
But they still require a lot of interpretation because the sensor type is so different. Which actually crosses into another piece. Mr. Jake Schermeyer a few days ago just announced. By the way, he used to be out of Cosmic Works, help with the SpaceNet challenge. And we've had him on the show before. He just announced his first day as data scientist at Capella Space, one of the radar companies out there. Yeah. And he's just getting started with that company. He announced on Twitter. So congratulations, Jake, and good luck in your
that's endeavor. Great at Capella. Yeah, are they San Fran based, or where are they based out of?
I believe they are based on the West Coast.
Yeah. So we got Capella, we got Predasar coming up with the radar birds as well, and they've been making some announcement as well. This is really going to take off in the space community. These radar birds, it's just kind of a no-brainer at the end of the day.
So another thing I think we have to bring up, and we're still following this. I haven't had time to read the whole article, but it's a really good article by Joe Morrison. So at Mouth Morrison, and we've had Joe on before as well. During the during what Project Geospatial did with some of, I can't remember if it was in May. All of the show, we've done so many episodes this year. It's starting to mold together in one. Yeah. Anyway, we've had Joe on before. He's
and Joe's down in Austin now. He's trying to do the whole he's trying to do this whole startup scene down there as well.
So the thing is, he put out on Twitter that the news broke yesterday or the day before. I'm trying to keep track of when he actually posted this tweet. Okay, so 3 days ago actually was when Mapbox decided to release a new version of Mapbox GL.js under a proprietary license, and that's really upset him. And he wrote a nice blog post describing what that really means to him and the community as a whole from his perspective. And I thought that was interesting because Mapbox had and the really argument here is how many open source map options that are available. Open source, what the open source business model, how many open source business models are available out there. You obviously have OpenStreetMap, and Google Maps isn't free, at least for businesses beyond its certain quota.
Right. Joe's right to call them out at the end of the day, because if you don't speak up, then these things just kind of keep happening and get slid under the rug, and then we just take it as consumers or as users, right?
Well, I mean, it's a big thing in the community. There's not many open source solutions. However, as a business, you have to survive. You can't just survive off of free software. So they have to do something.
That's why the praise for QGIS is so overwhelming, because of it being free and open source, right? That's
but a lot of work gets put into it to allow it to be free and open source. On the other hand, I do like the comment that Gareth Simons from it's at Emergent City he posted. So it's worth keeping an eye on this, because he indicated that there could be forks from the versions that are being released for maintaining an open source version going forward, while still maintaining a more probably more premium version of what Mapbox has. And if that's the solution, then we can kind of get by that. But I like to kind of read through this blog a little bit, interpret it, and maybe we'll talk about it more in depth next week.
I just enjoy always.
Maybe we'll bring Joe in and have a discussion.
I just always enjoy the mouth of Morrison's a busy man, and now I just realized too, because he was in Philadelphia, and I told you he's in Austin, so now he's the mouth of the South, actually, believe it or not. But I always enjoy, and I hope that the community finds the right place for Joe as well, because he's so well spoken, so well written, I should say, on these topics, and he's a great defender for them as well. He really does get up there and get attention, and gets to the point at the end of the day, and is very transparent about things, and will get some very, very honest answers to things as well. But he's just trying to figure everything out, so to speak. He wants some more transparency in the community, and he's getting it. I've watched his account. I forget what he's up to now with followers, but he's really grown over the years, but he's put his time in at the same time, even putting a couple TikTok videos up for us over time. So,
but there's a few things out there, folks just like Joe, that are good people to track in the community, not just because of their opinions, but they keep up with the trends. They keep up with the discussions with the community as a whole. And that they're just not. They're just not here for the moment and then gone.
And what sucks about it, what stinks about this in summary, is that the intelligence community, or the government, actually, I should say, because it's not just the IC, isn't so in connect with that open source community and folks like you see going to the FOSS4G conference and all the other big ones out there. And then the intelligence community and government folks you see just go to the government conferences. So there's still that big disconnect out there, and it stinks. But they're almost two separate worlds that they're operating in. At the end of the day, the government folks and then the commercial folks. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So hopefully Joe can do something to help bring that together as well. So we'll see.
And maybe we can help him with that.
You know, I don't know if Joe will take being a government employee, but he would make one hell of an officer.
It would definitely spice up his tweets, that's for sure.
It would. The mouth of Morrison would be the government mouth of Morrison, and they couldn't tell him what the hell to say and what not to say. It'd be really interesting to watch.
Well, let's see. What else do we have going on here? I want to talk about what's ahead. I think I'm not prepared to talk about this week, but I definitely want to talk more about what's going on out in the St. Louis in terms of geospatial.
Sure.
What's coming out with some of. I've received some press releases on the side from St. Louis. We haven't released them because I think they've been kind of spoon-fed to us from what's out there.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of things going on in different places in St. Louis around the tech startups out there, the accelerators, what NGA's doing to ramp up employment and get the buzz going ahead of their facility being built out of there. Sure,
we've already seen it from like last week. I had a connection with a Booz Allen Hamilton guy that was on Twitter, and their company's hiring folks out in St. Louis, and then I shared it over on LinkedIn and with other folks out of St. Louis. It's one of those things, once you do get word on anytime that there's opportunities there for growth, especially if you're from the dang area, please invest in your own area, right? There should be a no-brainer. But that's what it's all about, is getting those folks that have the opportunities and the growth, et cetera, connected with the folks on the ground or the folks that are incoming, et cetera, right? So that it's all a smoother transition, so to speak.
I think another thing you can look forward to, if not this upcoming week, but the week after, we'll put on the calendar. People have a chance to plan for it. Is I'm going to do a walkthrough of Microsoft's Flight Simulator, and the reason it makes this sound like a video game to most, but the imagery that's being put in there from the 3D environment is incredible, and it's the stuff. It's directly imported and piped into the game from satellite imagery that we use in our industry.
What company was I reading about? Was it Gulgazian's company that was working with? Was it CCM or who was it?
Well, no, that was Cesium. I think it was Cesium.
That's working with the Microsoft Flight Simulator guys. Yeah. Either way, it's amazing to see it from the imagery perspective, to see, and just the game in general. It's pretty knockout, amazing.
But we'll look into all the details about the imagery, and as I fly through it, I'll probably have Mason on the side helping narrate and talk about some of these facts about the Flight Simulator while I'm trying to control and fly this thing. You can see the gorgeous scenery, how incredible from a simulated environment we've recreated the entire Earth within well, virtually, right?
Yeah, that's true, and it takes a bit of a PC to run it, but it's it's worth just watch it even. We'll watch it with us when we go flying.
So once again, look for that on the schedule in the next week or two. Look forward to doing that. That'll be a blast and a little bit outside of what our normal theme is, but that goes in lines exploring new technologies. You know, aside from the Microsoft Flight Simulator, I know I've helped people tour the VR environment with Google Earth before.
Oh yeah,
and we might do a few of those demos coming up in the next couple weeks too, as we're exploring what apps would be great from a geospatial approach on how to deal with the virtual reality.
It just makes sense in the VR world too to add geospatial in there. Not all jobs or all tasks, duties, etc. you could add into the VR world, but almost everything geospatial based you could add into a VR environment. So yeah.
Well, once again, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. Anybody's available to hit Project Geospatial's Twitter account up until I would say about 11:30 is my limit, and we'll have you on. If you hit us up, send us a message, and if you're not ready to come on tonight, send us a message anyway, and we'll plan when you can be on with us. And I'll do one last shout out to Courtney Mueller out there. I know you're waiting for us to do something on there. I don't know if Mason's ready for this. No. All right. Well, we'll give that a pass for one of our fans. We'll just let that one slide. And we'll talk about that.
Courtney.
All right. Well, I'm Adam Simmons,
and I'm Mason Rothman.
This is Project Geospatial signing off.
Gute Nacht.